Hello? Hello, hello? It's me. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome on, welcome on. I know I missed stream last week. Missed last Thursday. Completely overslept. It's my bad. These things happen. See if I can make up for it at some point. I'm currently in depth 1 stream, so we'll see if we can figure that out. Maybe we'll stream tomorrow. It's such a pain though. Anyways, what we're working on right now is actually not the game. I've intentionally broken my stream bot once again. But hold on. We're gonna fix that. Just give me a little bit. Give me a little bit and we'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So I think the biggest problem here is that this calculation is incorrect. Whatever I was doing here was incorrect. Right, so the intention was for like stream notifications, I would attempt to, you know, prevent the bot from spamming the stream notifications channel just by looking for the last message and then calculating the difference in time between the two. I think that's still okay, but the way I'm doing it here, it must be like this calculation, right? So I get the message snowflake, bit shift it over 22, and then, you know, add the Discord epoch. Is it epic or epoch? It's not epoch, I know that. But I think this calculation's bad, so I'm not gonna do it. It's something with this, how I'm calculating the snowflake. But here's an idea. What if, instead of calculating the snowflake, what if we just keep an internal count of the time, right? So this is our time, we're storing it on the heap, so we're giving it a reference, so now it's changeable. Now we can do if db stream notification time, if we can do time since db last stream notification time. That gives me a pointer, but I think that's probably, yeah, okay, nice. We dereference it. Time since, and then this is, what does this give me? It gives me a duration. We can give hours. Is greater than 1. If it's greater than 1 hour, or I guess if it's less than 1 hour, or you know what? 3 hours. My normal stream time is like roughly 3 hours, maybe 4. So we'll give it 3. If it's less than or equal to 3 hours, we'll do like a return and hit it with a, I guess, a log, because that should be kind of an error actually. So bot tried to send a stream notification too quickly. Yeah, okay. And so that just kind of logs itself to, actually, since this is inside a Discord bot, I can actually log it to my bot controller. How interesting. Hooray for using Discord as like the persistent console for logs. So this will actually be like bot tried to send a stream notification too quickly. Yeah, there we go. And so this logic has not changed. I guess there's a little change here where this is using my user login instead of my my whatevers. what changed here? Changed the message to TwitchBot successfully started, and then this is the connected the chat message connected to Twitch IRC chat. All right. I think that should be fine. So let's just send it. We'll keep this in here because I'm lazy. Yeah, because the Twitch user thing should be fine. If I'm remembering correctly, that should be correct. So we'll go just send it. It does mean that if the bot ever restarts, it will lose track of when it sent the last notification, but that's okay. Git commit. Actually, what's the diff? No more string conversion, but it is using a time thingy. Oh, hold on. This is actually completely incorrect. Go back to dev, because we never update the time, by the way. So we'll do db last stream notification time is equal to I wonder if that'll garbage collect correctly. I don't know. Time now. Can I do that? I feel like that might be kind of weird. What if I do... db time. What is this? This is just a time value. How do I get the current time? In returns a copy time instant. I just want the current time. So I could do this. This almost feels wrong though. Current time is equal to time now. And then this will be current time, right? Yeah, I mean, let's send it and see what happens. See how it feels. Update stream notifications. Logic. So let's just go ahead and push that. Oh, and you know what? I might as well at this point, right? Since we're doing updates to the Twitch bot. Also just add my pretty much everything, right? So I have an itch.io and also a GitHub that might be nice to have. So we go to profile. So this is, there's the Discord. Discord I don't really care about, but you can do case GitHub. So Twitch client, say TB Twitch user, sprint F. Let's see, bum bum. GitHub profile can be found here. Hooray! So sprint F TB Twitch user, and then I'm just going to. Who needs environment variables when you can just hard code it? All right. And then we'll also grab this thing. So this is the itch.io. Not quite as important, but still nice to have. So this is the itch.io. Twitch client say TB. Twitch user. Sprint F, hit with one of these. What is it? Itch.io. Itch.io can be. Itch.io page can be found here. TB, Twitch user, and then just hard code it. It is beautiful. And I know how to get like auto generation working for this part, right? I just need to bring in the Discord command stuff again. I need to re-implement that. Because then I can reuse the same handler across Discord and Twitch, which would be really nice. Because then it handles almost exactly like a CLI tool. Which I feel like a lot of bots don't really do that, but maybe they do. Maybe they do. I really should look at more implementations of bots. Maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was. I mean, clearly not, but especially in this case. Itch.io. Alright, there we go. Git commit. Add more Twitch bot commands. Just push that. Nice. So, shouldn't be any stream notifications. Hit it with one of these. We're 2 commits behind master. Very nice. And this is where I'm running it, by the way. It's just replit. Is there a way for me to undo these, by the way? Who knows? Let's send it. I do pay for the premium plan, so I do have a few extra options. The premium plan, though, isn't too expensive for what it is. And the fact that I've used their service for a while now, so I can bring code anywhere. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Although, how much is what's 7 times 12? 7 times 12, 84 bucks a year. That's all right. 84 bucks a year. It is pretty good that it doesn't show my credit card information. Nice. Look at that. Only gets 5 boosted and 5 always on REPL. So I'm using this as a boosted and always on REPL. That's okay. Dedicated cluster though. We'll need to keep track of this to see what's going on. Because what I'm worried about is this part here. So I'm pretty sure this part works. Well, that's this part that's kind of sketchy. Oh, you know what? It's not even gonna run. Because, oh, never mind. There it is. The stream notification. Does that make sense? Because this was just 1 hour. Oh no. I feel like that didn't really work, but we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it. There is a 7:05. Ooh. Ooh, I don't know. I'm a little nervous, actually. Because this should actually not have worked, but for whatever reason it did, right? Because it should be checking against the time now and seeing, you know, if time since whenever is less than 3. It should actually send a debug message to my private bot controller channel, but it didn't. It actually just sent a regular notification. So that's a bit scary. That's a bit scary. At least it doesn't appear to be completely spamming the channel, or maybe I just have not given it enough time. There's no logs, so that's okay. Although, I mean, that does make sense because I've stopped logging to that console. I've only been logging to Discord console, if you will. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it. And by keep an eye on it, I mean completely close it. and then hope it works out. All right, so back at it again with the actual game dev stuff. Oh, I've also started time tracking for the wrong thing. Let's see, GitHub game off 2021. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Also, check it out. So we have, I believe GitHub should work now. Yeah, there we go. Hooray. Everyone welcome the bot to the field. Welcome, welcome. So, GitHub game off 2021. Ooh, clicked on the wrong thing. Bring me back. So where was I in terms of this? So you press F5, wait for it to start. Ooh. One of these, and then, oh yeah, okay. I think I remember. Escape doesn't do anything. Ooh. Oh. What did I remap the controls to? Here. UI end is the quit button. Oh wait, focus next and focus previous. Oh yeah. Silly me. Alright, so this one and then this one, this one, this one. What is focus previous? UI focus previous? Isn't it, should be Alt Tab, right? Or Shift Tab. Wasn't I pressing Shift Tab? How unfortunate. Doesn't seem to work. Anyways, this should be okay, right? So you can go up to Hue, we talk, that's a test. Dialogue, in the bag. And then you're left with options like this, and then you can click, click, click. Okay, so here's a wild idea that I was thinking about, is what if, in addition to this, so what if the player, maybe it's not like a meta kind of game, but I guess it is still meta in terms of, I think how things play out. But in terms of how you interact with, or I guess how the game interacts with you, what if you aren't like removed from memory? So it's not like meta in that sense, but it's more meta in that like your character has the ability to like rewrite skills, right? And did I steal this from a manga? I did. I did. I was like, you know what? That's actually kind of cool, right? Because I was working on a game idea like this a while back when I was still more seriously working on the programming language I was making in GDScript as well. So it utilized a parser and all that good stuff. I think this could also be pretty cool. So, where's my mouse? Look at that. So you have skills and they'll show up on the right here. And then, right, it's very Pokemon style. So you select a skill, blah, 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 and you'll do your thing. But for only the player character, I guess they have the ability to manually define or, you know, introspect on what the skill actually does, and then you can do a thing. I thought that might be cool. So let's play around with that concept. Also, let's figure out where I even stopped. So, oh, We'll go cd GitHub game off. What was the log? What did I do? Start work on battle logic. All right. Great comment, me. Good comment. Good comment. Let's go into here. Let's also do a bit more input mapping, shall we? So UI accept, UI cancel, UI select. I wonder if UI select, we can just make it be the menu button. So we'll have 3 possible keys, so that's C. I guess this would change this to be J, K, and then this one would be L. So if you're using WASD like I do, be JKL. If you're using arrow keys, it would be ZXC, and those are your primary buttons for interacting with the UI, because it's not a mouse-driven game. Yeah, okay. So then we can go with a save. Go here. We'll keep this disabled for now. This is mostly just to demonstrate that we can change the palette, but it serves no practical use. Let me see. How do we get the GUI state? How do we get the GUI state? Would it be... I guess it would just be this, huh? So that's your UI accept dialog, and then we can do an else if is action pressed. Is action pressed? Would it be UI select? And then how do we show the UI at this point? Because then we also need to stop the world as well. And don't worry, we're getting back to the actual game dev stuff. I know I kind of talked about redoing the entire game idea. Not the entire game idea, but the battle idea at the very least. We're waiting on that. We're waiting on that. Maybe I can still incorporate it, but I think that would also incorporate, I guess, the bug theme more into the game, as opposed to like the bug theme is more of like a story point, and then only slightly connected to the mechanics, because I guess as a bugged character you can't not be attacked, something like that. So in addition to that, or maybe as opposed to just having that be the mechanic, is that you are unattackable, so it's very meta. What if instead that your character has the ability to edit skills and so you would literally be like writing bugs into the game, which might be fun. We'll see how that feels. How is this handled? So hide dialogue, progress dialogue is just this thing here, right? So when is GUI state ever set? GUI state is set here, and then oh yeah. Okay, so state equals GUI state none. Yeah, okay. GUI state none, and then progress dialog. I guess this thing needs to... That's a bit tough, actually. Progress dialogue. So I guess you can always... Well... Yeah. If you hit progress dialogue, bum, bum, bum. Then eventually you end up at the end of all of this stuff. So we need to switch your state immediately. Now you're going into state none, GUI state. And then this is more of like the, yeah, this is the overworld layer, so it doesn't need to know anything about the, the fighting, the combat screen. So we have a few screens. So this is the overworld screen. This is just a test screen for now, but I have a better idea on how to actually display this stuff. Then we have the battle screen, which is, you know, different. So let me think. How do I want to hook this up? So the player overworld unit, I can just have a static event that it subscribes to, perhaps. So I think that would be the easiest way. So public static event handler, nothing, right? This would be, you know, show menu events. Is that what I want to call it? What did I call this one? Dialogue event start. So this is, menu event. Hit. I guess that's okay. So hit it with, what do I want? Hola, ¿cómo estás? How are you doing, Casper Dragonwolf? I'm working on a GitHub game off 2021 game. The theme is bug. Doing all right. How about yourself? About the same. You know, just trying to stay motivated. By forcing myself to do a game jam. Work has been rough recently, but so it goes sometimes. I understand that. Yeah. Like usually, what I should actually be working on is this thing right here, right? So this, I wrote this in Godot. Not to brag or anything, but that's available on my GitHub, which you can find in my description below, or you can ask the bot, which I also wrote. Pretty much I wrote everything that you see on screen, besides like, I guess, the editor and the OS. And pretty much everything else, so turns out I'm just a total liar. Menu events. Yeah. But the VTuber stuff just kind of happened because I wanted to see if I could do it. And it turns out not that hard. At least to get something working initially. But it's when you start getting into like cross-platform stuff, that's when it starts to become really difficult. And you know, case in point, the you know, everything is more or less written for Windows compatibility, right? And then Linux is kind of a second-class citizen, which is, you know, I guess I understand, right? Why make, you know, why double the effort essentially when, you know, 80% of your audience is going to be using Windows, maybe even more. but it's causing me a huge problem because I think most of the users of this software that I've written is Linux users, right? Because it's natively Linux compatible, unlike everything else that's on the market right now. I say on the market, but I don't sell it. It's just free to download, free to use. Yeah, that's a problem, right? Because you can see I'm using Windows right now, but most people use some flavor of Linux, which is all right. You know, I get it. Event args. But it's tough. Like I'm familiar with Linux. I work for a big Linux company. You know, work professionally as a programmer, if you will. to put it more basically, yes, I'm a programmer. That's not actually my job title though, or responsibilities. But it's close enough. So we want to do state is equal to GUI state menu. But yeah, in order to do Linux compatibility stuff, it's so much easier to do everything on a Linux computer. But I don't stream from a Linux computer. And I've worked, the majority of that program, when I've worked on it, has been on stream, which is kind of cool, right? So I started working on that in January. So it's been almost an entire year of just work on that. How time flies. Show dialogue. Don't do any of this. Current dialogue. Dialogue container. Hit menu container. Hobbyist developers, I understand, have a Linux machine, Windows machine, and various other things. Yeah. It's tough. Like, I prefer using my Windows machine, if only because having the compatibility is nice. I use more programs that are just Windows compatible. Linux, I like being able to tinker with it, but I feel like unless I don't know. There's not too much reason for me to switch over to Linux unless Microsoft at some point forces me to upgrade to Windows 11, which from what I've heard, they're changing it so that Windows will run inside of a hypervisor, which sounds very fancy, but it's probably one of the worst things that could happen to you if you care about performance at all. Alright. Menu events. So we can receive this menu event multiple times, and then we'll just have to toggle it, I guess. So we can keep track of the toggle state inside of our GUI. Yeah. Okay. So show dialog. So on show dialog, we should hide everything. Yeah. So we should hide everything. Hide GUI. Grab the dialog. We duplicate the array, so we're not actually like destroying anything. We shouldn't. We show the dialog container and then switch the state. So hide GUI destroys our state, which is fine. Oh, okay. That means I don't need this part. Hide GUI cleans it all up for me. Nice. Good job, me. I foresaw that I would forget to do it. Switch the state properly. Alright, so we should hit it with a hide GUI here, then switch the state afterwards. So hide GUI, and then do all that stuff. Menu container. Actually, that's not entirely true. What we would want to do is toggle the menu, if possible. So if state does not equal GUI state none, then we'll want to just return early. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll do, isn't it, there's a function called menu container toggle. No, there's one of them. Is it visible? So yeah, menu container visible is equal to not menu container visible. Yeah, and then we can match on the results of that, right? So get rid of this. So switch, I said match, but what I actually meant was a switch statement. Menu container visible. Doesn't make a lot of sense to do that, but makes me feel happier about myself. Break. Let's see, what do we want to do here? Get rid of menu container show because that's handled by visible. If it is true, wait, we only need to handle the the true case, right? No. Yeah, okay. This is getting too fancy with it. If menu container visible, then our state equal to GUI state menu. Hooray. You know, I guess something that's been going on recently is that I guess for like an entire year I've had like nothing to do at work. But now that I have actual things to do, I'm like, man, I feel really tired. It's weird having like actual responsibilities again. You know, like if they don't want to give me anything to do, but still keep paying me like my usual paycheck, I'm like, I'm not gonna say no. I'll keep working on my own stuff if you don't mind. Well, even if you do mind, it's not my problem. You know, I've already given it a try a few times. All right, so this is where we're at. Should probably have like a full screen hotkey or something, but you can talk to people, make sure that this still works. Hello, this is a test. Press C, doesn't work, nice. Because I didn't hook it up here. So to do stub, yep. Here, yeah. So this is show menu, right? Show menu, or I guess it's like toggle menu is closer to the actual functionality. Toggle menu. Toggle menu. Let's see. We'll just go ahead and send it, I guess. So press C. All right, so you shouldn't be able to do that. Shouldn't be able to move and look at the menu at the same time. This isn't Dark Souls. All right. Oh, actually, if states, I guess I could just do a match here, right? So if states is not, or if state is menu, right? So if the current state is GUI state menu, then we'll just toggle it off, right? So menu container dot hide. Yeah. Oh, actually, we can just do hide GUI as a shorthand. Otherwise, and then this is where a switch case might come in handy. So switch on the state. So there's a few things that we want to handle, or this just makes it more explicit how we're handling it. So GUI states none. This is where we'll want it to be visible. So menu container show, and then state is equal to GUI state. One of these, hit it with a breakle, and then case. If we're in GUI state dialog, we shouldn't do anything at all. right? Should not be allowed to try to toggle the menu if you are currently in a dialogue thingy. And then GUI states menu. We'll just hit it with a hide GUI. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then, yeah. Nice. Oh, hello, Code Custard. Thank you very much for the raid. Thank you. How has your stream been going? Or how was your stream, I should say. It's not present continuous tense, it's past tense. So we can talk to you, hello. That all works. This works. Now I just need to disable your movement using the same functionality as with starting the dialogue stuff. Yeah. What I'm working on right now is the GitHub Game Up 2021. Theme is bug. Currently, the original idea was the game would be a bit more meta in how it worked. So it's like it's Pokemon style movements, and then we'll have like combats, I guess almost triggered Pokemon style, but it's more of just a bare bones JRPG style thingy. But I'm thinking, yeah, and I guess the twist, how it incorporates the theme of bug, is that what if like the big bad boss at the very start of the game is like, all right, we're deleting the hero. And so you don't technically exist, so you cannot be attacked. And then people don't, I guess, remember, you know, the hero state. They're just like, oh, hello, brah, you know. But I'm also thinking, what if I gave you the ability to like manually edit abilities? And then that sounds like a lot of work, in which it is, because I was working on a similar idea like way back. So each skill is actually written with a custom DSL, domain specific language. And so the player can edit skills and then, haha, get it? Because since you're editing game skills using a DSL, you're introducing bugs into the game, haha. So it's simultaneously meta, and then also like it's incorporated into the gameplay. So I think that's where I want to go with this. It's all good. Got a bit of progress going. What are you working on? What are you working on? And then look on the chord code. What's the chord code? Yeah. But yeah. Was losing steam working on this. But you can find this on my GitHub, free and open source, OpenCFace GD. Also, this is not stream avatars. This is my own thing. It does the Nico Nico or Billy Billy style chat scroll, all that good stuff. But kind of burnt out, but still trying to push through it by working on a game jam. So how does this work? So show dialogue. Working on a multiplayer game. When's the jam end? The jam ends December 1st. So there's still a pretty good amount of time. It's been running for 1 month. Or it runs for 1 month. It's been running for like 2 weeks now. Yeah, it's a big one though. It's a big one. And of course with all big jams, if you don't cheat, then you're already behind. But it's just nice to be able to submit something, add to my portfolio. And then I also have, you know, a record of work on stream, since I pretty much only ever work on this stuff like on stream. Yeah, so have almost no chance to win or even break into the top 100, since there's 7,700 almost entrants. And then of course, right, there'll probably only be like 1,000 max, right? Maybe. Because most of the people join, but very few people ever actually submit. I think that's the same for like Ludum Dare. But you can find all that stuff on, let me see, is it called itch.io? Hooray! There we go. My last game jam game can be found there as Giant Horse Deathball, I think it was called. The names don't match up, so there's Team Ewan and Fake Firefly, but Fake Firefly is the name of the, I guess, the separate entity that isn't linked to my online persona. Even though my online persona, yeah, well, I guess both of them are linked back to my real name, but who cares? So how do I stop movement? So does this subscribe to, oh, it does subscribe to it. Okay. This is getting a little confusing. Let me see. I wonder. Like, the way that I've laid this out is actually a little bizarre. So dialogue started, right? The player unit subscribes to these two events, so dialogue event start and dialogue event stop. But then you have menu event. But the player doesn't know anything about the current UI state, which makes this a little difficult. I suppose it could happen like this. Well, we could just assume, right? That these two things will be true. Like, so that these two things will always be in sync. The GUI layer intercepting this event, the menu event, and then toggling the UI on and off, or off and on. And then also assuming, yeah, the events will match up. The only thing I'm worried about is if the UI stuff doesn't match up correctly. But then I also don't have access to this. I'm trying really hard to avoid using a static accessor member. I feel like I overuse that a bit too much. Because you can see here that, like, this is a static event. Like, ooh, not the greatest, not the greatest. Although I feel like maybe for C# events, that's okay. I'm not familiar with using events in C# though. Like, I know how they work, but I've never really seen it used all that often. Usually you would want, I guess, a more verbose messaging pattern. Maybe not verbose. Maybe verbose is the wrong word, but... So, if is action pressed. Yeah, I get it. But do you? But I am talking through it for my own benefit. Because I'm trying to avoid using a flag. So better head out and eat, super starving. Hey, no offense taken. I usually bounce right after I raid someone as well. It's been a long stream, so yeah. Thanks for the raid. Take it easy. Trying to avoid using a flag. Could make this static, but I don't think that's a good idea. Yeah, because it won't process in time. But then I don't have any way of toggling this on and off. I hop in tomorrow. You want to work on the game jam tomorrow as well? Probably not, but maybe. Mondays are usually my off days. But I might, since I did miss a day last week. We'll see. We'll see. Always hard to say. Always hard to say. Alright. Peace out, my dude. Later. Well, stream Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Anyways, I try to anyways. Right. So, if I'm not streaming Monday, which I'm probably not, I'll be streaming Tuesday. Is showing menu. Yeah. So we'll hit it with a false for now. That's our private variable. This one we'll just. I really don't like this pattern, right? Because we're storing the UI state in two places now, in both the GUI layer and the player layer. If I make this a public static variable, so change the name. Actually, don't change the name. Change it like this. Rename symbol. So this is S state. It's okay. Now we don't need this. And so now we can depend upon the GUI. That is horrible. I hate that. Data should only flow in one direction, but this would mean that data is flowing in. It'll be a circular import, which is confusing. That's tough. But the state needs to come from the UI, not the other way around. All right, well, we'll do it like this for now until I think of a better solution. So is showing menu false. Let's see. Is showing menu is equal to not is showing menu, then if is showing menu, and we'll see where we're at. So if we are showing the menu, then we'll just reuse this, right? So it's like start dialogue, or dialogue started, dialogue stopped. I'm gonna reuse these names for now. We're gonna rename them though. Yeah, we're gonna rename them. Oh. So this is dialogue stopped, dialogue started. Seems really gross. It is really gross. Where do I reuse these? Oh, this is how I subscribe to the events from the NPC units. Okay. Anyways, this is halt or a stop. 0 out. It's like allow movement, disallow movement, right? So this is like disallow movement. And then this is allow. Wait, no. Hold on, this is allow movements. Rename symbol. Allow movements. Right. And then this is disallow movement. Disallow movement. There we go. Should be all right, I think. Should be all right. Right. So you can see here, we can move around. Press A, B, doesn't do anything. Press this. All right. So that's good. Let me think. So this is disallow movement, right? And then we can also do one of these. We can just override it. Disallow movements. So it's a bit cleaner. Right. Hooray for method overriding. Allow movements. Nothing, but it does all of these things. So I do need to have these parameters listed because that's the only way you can handle a C# event. And then we can just discard them later, so it all works out. Allow movement. Yeah. Okay. So now we can get rid of this really ugly syntax. So we invoke this. Is showing menu is equal to not is showing menu. And then I've gotten this mixed up. Yeah, one of these. So this is the correct order, right? And by this, I mean this. So we can move around. Look at that. We can turn around mid-walk, which is a bit weird, but maybe I'll disallow that. Oh, no. Okay. Can inputs. Hold on. What if we do this? So we can wrap up a lot of this stuff. So change this to back into an if statements. Then we'll wrap all of this inside of a really big check. So if can inputs, then we'll do something like this. Yeah. So if we can inputs, and then can inputs is only handled by, I guess, either dialogue options or something else. Oh, but I don't know. That probably makes sense. That probably makes sense. I'm not going to think about it too hard. Oh, hello, Needle Mouse. I just got Stardew Valley today. I love it. Nice. Stardew Valley, pretty sick. Pretty sick. Why isn't this working? I've actually never beaten Stardew Valley, though. I don't know if that makes me a poser or not. Alright, so this is where we're at. That's okay. I'm playing for 89 minutes now. Oh, so you're barely into it. Barely in. It's once you start getting to the... I guess I even know. I guess once you fill out the... I guess that might be a spoiler, huh? The game has barely started. We've gotten a doggy? What do you mean? The dog or cats is like one of the first choices you make. But you know what? Fair enough. Fair enough. I think I would recommend starting with the basic farm to begin with. I don't care. All right. Big old pupper. Gotten. I'm trying to think. I think I'm doing this in the wrong order. So we grab this. I'm cleaning my land. I'm building a little farm. Nice, nice. Have you gotten to sprinklers yet? Sprinklers. Pretty much a must-have. I hate starting over and not having having to manually do a bunch of stuff. No, all right. I think that's when the farming stuff really starts to pop off. Yeah. So right now a lot of the farming stuff is manual. But I think you don't even need to farm if you don't want to, I think. I mean, if you want to complete the game, I think you do have to farm, but if you wanted to, you could just fish all day, I think. The fishing minigame, pretty good. There's mining. It's pretty much just Minecraft. It has everything. Alright, so this should be good, yeah. Oh. The animation gets stuck sometimes. That's cool. Ooh. How did I do that? Hold on. Ooh. That's weird. Why does that happen? Why does that happen? Is it the... It's graphical glitch. It's because of how I'm doing movement and like controls. I know what's happening is that input directions doesn't get cleared properly. And so we just kind of have like hanging, you know, we have hanging facing directions for whatever reason. Maybe that's what's happening. So disallow movements and then allow movements, and then we can, I guess, just clear input directions every single time to hopefully make this better. Maybe? I don't know. Clear it. Send it. This works implicitly, right? Yeah, it's a void function. So, hit with an F5. Yeah, Stardew Valley though, I don't know. People seem to really like it. I thought it was more of like a 7 out of 10 kind of game, but I guess people were really into it, huh? I thought it was more of a 7 out of 10. Cause I don't know, there's just like not enough stuff to do in it. IMO. Actually, I think I did this in the wrong area. So this should be disallowed movement. I should clear out your input directions. And I love games where you make your own world. Yeah, well, you're not really making your own world in Stardew, right? You're building a farm, more or less. And you're exploring the town. Like drawing on Minecraft, making your own world of fantasy. Well, I guess I mean, you're designing your own thing, but it's the same world every time, right? It's not like a Factorio where you can randomize the environment. It's not like a Minecraft or a Terraria, Starbound. Like, I think when I play Stardew, like I have 3 different save files, and then pretty much on all of them, I make the exact same farm every single time. I make the exact same farm every single time. Right, because the farm layout is the same unless you pick a different, starting farm. So you have the regular farm, you have the mountain farm, the forest farm. Like the wilderness farm. I've never done the wilderness farm. I've only done mountain farm, normal farm, normal farm. And then I think I've done the fishing farm on mobile. So I've bought the game like 4 times. I have it on Switch. I think I have it on Switch, PC, mobile, and I think I have it on PS4 as well. I'm gonna make my own Stardew outside my house. Farming, cannabis snoozer, TBH. Farming is cannabis snoozer. Not gonna lie. Like it's very satisfying once you actually grow something, but it's like, I don't know. Like I've grown tomatoes, I've grown strawberries. It's like, like it's cool. It's cool. Like I can make sandwiches for about a week. And all that for like a few months of work. Oh baby. It's not really my thing. I hope you understand. Alright, so this needs to be a menu, label, get rid of the label. So we'll just slap a bunch of buttons into here, I think, right? Family in my town are known to have beautiful flowers and stuff. I'm not sure how that's related. Unless it is, and I'm being dumb. That's neat. I just plan to stop and make my own. I don't know, like, do you live in Holland? Known for their tulips? Let's see, button. I don't know. We'll just have a bunch of buttons, right? So this is the change me button. So what options would you want to have? There's like information, the info button. I live by the ocean. Still could be Holland. Still could be Holland. Or I suppose as it's known in the US, the Netherlands. Yeah, because the Holland is near the British Channel, or the English Channel. English Channel is technically part of the Atlantic Ocean, therefore technically by the ocean. So still not wrong. Maybe not right, but we'll take it. Button 2. What other things would you want to have? There's like the, I guess, player info. This would be player. Just player, huh? Player info. And then this will show your name, maybe. Button 2, probably your inventory. I think that one's a good one. Or no, party. Party is a good one. Party. Might try to use monogame with VS Code and try to code a game with it. Nice. The important part is to try to do something and finish it. It's easy to start and stop. It's harder to finish. That's why the game jam thing is at least a motivator for me, because that's a deadline that someone else has set. And so I think it's easier than setting your own deadlines, because when you set your own deadlines, right, you can keep saying, oh, but it's not ready yet. Let's push it out. Let's push it out another week, right? And no one's gonna care. But with the game jam, you only have 2 options: finish or don't finish. There is no we'll push it. It forces you to make the decision, which is good in my opinion. But mono game, not a huge fan. But if you find that it works, then it works, right? The biggest thing is the asset handler. What is it called? The asset pipeline? I'll call it the bag. Bag. I guess like save and then exit, and those will be the last 2 buttons. Maybe. Ooh. Maybe like a journal, and then, yeah. So we'll have journal. The journal button. Journal. Ooh. Journal. And I think if you're doing monogame though, I feel like most people don't use base monogame anymore. Right, you'd be crazy to unless you really needed like the extensibility. You would use monogame and then use a framework that builds on top of monogame. So lots of people use Nez, N-E-Z. That's a pretty good one. Or that's a pretty popular one. There's also monogame extended, but I've never gotten that one to work. But that might be a me thing. That might be a me thing. We'll call this file instead, right? Yeah, okay. So this is what this is gonna look like. Went to my uncle's house and turned out my aunt has a salon. Since I'm kind of skilled, I asked her if I can make a model-like character for her brand, and she said yes. Ooh. Since I'm kind of skilled. Not bragging or anything, but I do have mad skills. Alright, look at that. That looks horrible. But I think it is pixel perfect, still. Is this still pixel perfect? I think it is. Yeah, it looks okay. I can't tell if the text is pixel perfect or not. It looks a bit bigger than it should be. I don't know. Am I able to press both of these at the same time? All right. So this will not be pixel perfect, but that's intentional. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm that good at art. I'm just poking fun at Are you saying that, I don't know, saying that you're kind of skilled is like, it almost feels like a humble brag. You know, I think you should be more confident in yourself. You know, don't leave any room for doubts, or don't mention the doubt at all. Right? That's part of the presentation. That's part of building confidence. Or it's not part of building confidence, but it's part of faking confidence. Right? And then that helps you improve upon yourself as well. Or at least in terms of like marketability. Like that's one of the things that people say is like, you know, fake it till you make it. One of the things they don't tell you about faking it till you make it is like, don't ever bring up the fact that you are, you may or may not be faking it. Yeah. Probably one of the worst things you could do is like, let the doubts seep in. Let people know that you may or may not be doubting yourself. No. In fact, you are ultra confident. I'm a professional artist, but I can make the Mona Lisa in a sec. Well, okay, see, that's also another thing. You know, don't oversell yourself. When you say, hey, you know, Aunt is running a salon. I offered to make her a professional looking logo or whatever. What were you making? A model-like character, a professional-looking model-like character. I was like, oh, okay. You know, that's nice, right? You don't have to go to the other extreme, but you can be like, we're a professional grade thing, you know? It's like, oh, okay. Now you start thinking of yourself as a professional, but okay, now you're saying, oh, you're going to make a Mona Lisa in a second, or you're a professional artist. Well, I don't know about that. You know, let's slow it down here. You know, we're getting to it. Style box flat. Maybe I'll want to use a texture. No, I don't want to use a texture. Textures are kind of a pain. Style box flat. So that's it. Any border? Yes. A one width border. Because that's 1 pixel wide. I think I want to grab the other thing. Yeah, that's one of the things that I also very much struggled with, was the entire fake it until you make it mentality, right? So like, one of the big things is just knowing how to sell yourself, like the hoe that you are. Don't blend it. Because for a while I would always say like, yeah, I know this, but I'm not the greatest at it. That's the first thing. You've gotten into your own head. You hate to see that. Never get into your own head. If you can convince yourself that you are pretty okay, then, you know, no one will question it. Or you can convince yourself, then you'll also convince others. Now, once they actually see your skills, they may be less convinced, but that's another question altogether that we will not be tackling here. You know, I'm not qualified to make that kind of value judgment. Image swatch, grab me, give me this. It's a background color. I think this makes sense, maybe. That's probably okay for like normal, and then we can, how would you do like a bigger corner? Like, how does Pokemon do it? Does Pokemon change the color? I don't think they do. I think they just make the border difference, right? Yeah, because when you start the thing here, you press L, that's how it looks. That looks okay. Looks okay. I think and then when you mouse over, it looks really, really bad. I think this color is actually wrong as well. That's not the correct dark brown. I think that's just black. Have I been messing this up? All right, send me back. Bring me to the Overworld Theme. Panel container, style box, flat, border. No, that's correct. Is that just my eyes being bad? Yeah, that's the same brown. Do some games, a mono game, and try to see some stuff with babysitting and destroy my PC. Go homeless and draw a crazy diamond on the sidewalk. What's crazy diamond? Crazy diamond. Oh, it's a JoJo. Okay. Looks a bit lewd. Should probably put a shirt on, but, you know, maybe some pants as well. But who can argue with those muscles? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if you can hack it, if you can swing it, by all means. But I feel like if all you're interested in is making games, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do things in lower level languages. Right? Especially if all you're doing is 2D. You don't need the speed and performance. And, you know, I know how it sounds like, oh, you're just saying that because you can't do speed and performance. And it's like, not really. You know, professional Golang and Rust developer here. Back at it again, the lower level languages. Referencing JoJolian, where a dude draws crazy diamond on the sidewalk. Well, unfortunately, I've never really watched JoJo. I don't have enough time. Like, there's like a million seasons in the JoJo. Well, there's like 6 seasons of JoJo, aren't there? I don't know. I'm kind of... Yeah. Hold on. Make unique. Then we'll save this. Save as. Ooh. Is this not unique? Huh? Border. Border width. Yes. Content margin. No. Save. All right. Well, okay. I guess it worked. Don't know what changed. Themes. So this is the Overworld theme, and then we'll store all these button things. So this is, I guess, normal style box. Hooray! Then we'll load this in. Quick load, normal style box. Nice. And then we can just copy and paste across the other ones. So for pressed, how am I going to do this? Do this. Quick load, normal style box, make unique, open this up, and then we'll change it. You're saying that because you do speed and performance? That's what I was implying. Yes, yes. And you got me. That's why I write Rust at work, because I don't care about performance. That's why instead of writing Python code like I would much rather do, I write Rust and Golang, or even Java. Part 6 is coming on December 1st. Part 8 are just manga. Part 8 is JoJolian. Shows how much I know. I knew there was more than 4. That's the most I could do though. That was the most I could do. I guess we'll grab this color swatch and then see how it feels. So this is the pressed color swatch, I think. You know what? Probably should have changed this to something else, but that's okay. Let's save this. This is pressed.stylebox. All right, so we'll load this in here, quick load, pressed stylebox, then hover and focus will be the same. Yeah, hover, so let's do focus first. We'll quick load the pressed stylebox, bring me back to the other color. Oh, and then remember to make this unique so we don't accidentally change something we shouldn't. I think this is the color that we want, adjust swatch. Was this the one I had before? Am I an idiot? I might be an idiot. Yeah, this looks like the one we had before. Pressed. I am an idiot. No, no, it's... I want to try Rust too. My friend has been doing it and recommends it. Rust is very difficult. Rust is very difficult to learn. So I guess if you already have a good or I guess if you don't have any understanding of programming, it might be good to jump in now. Right? It might be good to jump in at that point. All right, save as. This is just hover.stylebox. Quick load, hover, and then so we're using the same style box for focus and hover. Yeah, joke's on you, I am difficult. Yes, I could tell. No, Rust is very, very difficult though. I would not recommend that as like the first language if you are, well, if it is your first language, I guess it's good. I would not recommend it as anyone's second or third language though. Ooh, I think that's actually okay. Why can't I click them though? Or did I set it to the wrong thing by accident? So it has focus. Should be able to do all kinds of... I'm pressing buttons. Yeah, the reason why Rust is difficult is one, it's supposed to be at the same level as C and C++, probably closer to C++, honestly. But it also forces your code to be correct. And I think that sounds really good, right? But once you already know one language that doesn't enforce safeness like Rust does, it makes it really hard to go, I guess, in that direction. So in Rust, you need to handle memory correctly, think about lifetimes, think about borrowing. Whereas something if you're doing like Python is just like, I don't know, dude, send it. Or Java, everything's a pointer, so you don't even need to think about it. You know, the garbage collector takes care of that for you. C# is the same as Java, more or less. That's actually not true, but in effect, they work almost the same way. You can tell I'm just trying to learn C and the difficulties of a language before going on to the other languages, but I'm going for C# right now. C is not I think if you're self-taught, C is not a great choice. I think the amount of tooling that you need to learn how to use is pretty difficult, right? I think writing C, especially if you're writing it like in a really basic way, is not hard. It's not easy, but it's not hard. The hard part is once you start getting into more complicated programs, then the tooling becomes one of the harder parts, because then you need to understand, you know, in files, out files, or linkers, included libraries, etc., which is something I still barely understand. It's like, I need to link with this library. What's the difference between a DLL and a static library? Like, I kind of get it, but kind of don't. Like that's why using a newer language is nice, because they take care of a lot of that complexity for you. Whereas C is, you know, it gives you a lot more control for better or worse. Is this theming wrong? What does the press style box look like? They all have the same border. It's just that the border widths are different. Yeah. These are the same style box. And then disabled, there is no such thing as a disable button in this thing. Yeah, like I would recommend like C#, right? If you're not technical, I would recommend Python, which is what a GD script is pretty close to. Alright, it's a GUI layer. Right, like this is C#, right? So, ugh. I wonder. Oh, is it because of the... No, it's not because of this. I was gonna say, like, is this not working? Am I not able to click on the buttons because of this dialogue container kind of like overshadowing everything? I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. Make Adobe After Effects with a built-in drawing program. Stardew Valley, built-in code editor. Twitch stream, tab, YouTube tab, Blender, ASC Sprite, Studio, and a duck. It's possible. I mean, you could, right? I think the hardest part would be Adobe After Effects, but wouldn't everything else, in terms of a program, I think you could just like spawn them as tasks inside of your program, right? Because you could, in theory, write a program that just handles running other programs. Like, yeah. I don't know why you would want to do that, but like Godot can do the same thing, right? Why are you like this? So this looks right. We can move around like that, but then why can't I click? Why can't I click? It's obviously receiving my mouse inputs. I don't know. We'll think about it. And while we're thinking about it, we'll also grab references to all the buttons. So, privates. Yeah. Actually, talking about that, yeah. Programs inside of other programs, like this program here, actually, it starts the face tracker just as a separate process, but then stores a reference to the, or it doesn't store a reference, it stores the process ID. So that's how I stop it from inside the program as well. So yeah, if you wanted to, yeah, you can make the hardest part about making After Effects that handles all those other programs is that it's just making After Effects. But making an app manager for all those other programs, I don't think that would be too hard. It'd be kind of weird, but I don't see why not. Let's see. Button. What are we doing? Party. Party. Now I'm kind of noticing that whenever I bottom out my spacebar, it makes like a really loud hollow noise. But only when I press it on one of the sides. I'm gonna go. Probably playing Stardew Drawing or starting to set up monogame with VS Code. Excuse me, sir, have you been drinking? Take it easy, Needle Mouse. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'll be here. Keeping on, I guess. Trying to keep morale high as best I can. Always a struggle, though. Let's see, and then exit. Actually, I don't need an exit button. I guess that would just be file, huh? Alright, delete node. There we go. Yeah, there we go. There's your 5 menu options. Hooray! So let's grab this. Just enjoy your stream. I will enjoy my stream. Thank you very much. I'm glad I had your permission to do so. I wasn't enjoying it up until now, but thank you, thank you. See you around. Bye-bye. Bye what? What's by there? Inquiring minds desire to know. Party equals get node. Let's see. Suppose I don't need to do it like this. There's only 5 options, so boom, boom, delete the last one. That's not how you, that's not the backspace key. So this is file. Change this to file. What was it? Bag and journal. So this is bag, and then this is journal. There we go. So we have all these nodes, and there's no reason for me to have all these nodes, but we'll go info, focus, get focus, set focus. Here, what is it called? Focus. It's one of these. Is it in the battle screen? What's the focus? Grab focus. It had something to do with focus. All right, let's press F5. Let's see how it feels. Oh, look at that. It actually spawned it properly. So do all this. Not showing anything. That's a bit weird. It shows the hover stuff, and I'm able to also do this appropriately, but I'm not able to... Oh. So why is this? Why is this? Is it because... So these nodes have... What am I doing differently between this one and this one? So button mask, that's okay. That's okay. Hey, there's no difference. Is it because something else is eating my input? I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. So input, mouse, yes. Mode, none. Are you eating my inputs? Mode, none. How about you? None. How about you? Who? Hold on. Oh, wait a minute. Mode. Focus access mode for the control. None, click, or all. Only one control can be focused at the same time, and it will receive keyboard signals. Hey. Isn't that what I'm doing? Isn't that what I'm doing? Enabled focus mode. Deprecated due to redundancy. Very good. Like, I think this just works, right? And then since we are manually defining like the position of all the controls, we can do something like this, which I don't actually get to do all that often, because in this program all these controls are dynamically generated. So it's a bit hard to mess with the focus modes. I do concede that it's a bit weird. It looks like this is it looks like this is a different color. It looks like that's a different color. Is that not a different color? Actually, aren't these supposed to be more of a brown? Hold on. Is this because of the palette swapper? Is the palette swapper wrong? Is the palette swapper using the wrong color? What's the swatch? How do I read this? Oh, that's the hue HSL 36108. So for, I forget which one I'm using. I'm using Miss GB. Oh, you know what? No, this isn't HSL. This is 4527 0. Oh. Is that why? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, that doesn't look different at all. And also nothing has changed. It's like but it's like this thing has a difference. It's like everything has like a different color, right? This is more of a brown, where this is actually looking more black. Huh. Why is that happening? My initial color palette is Miss GB. This is Miss GB. And then I guess just ignore how kind of weird that is. Miss GB, that is 45 27 0 255. And this one is 30 96 110. 30 96 110. Huh. Forty-five 27 0. 45 27 0. Something weird is going on here with a few things. So if we go to panel container, style box flat, this is correct, right? 45 27 0. But then once we get into the actual, I guess, UI bit, like this looks good, right? That looks fine. But then once we go here, you can see that this character, like, that's the same brown as this, right? Like how it's actually, oh, actually, maybe this is my own fault. Maybe I just need to re-export. All right. Maybe the character is just my fault. No. Yeah, that's a different color. Why are they different colors? Like, it's such a small thing to be caught up on, but it's just bothering me now. And also, why am I not able to get input here? But also, why are they different colors? So if I open up, all these things should be roughly the same. Yeah, they're all using more or less the same sprite. So if I hide this thing, yeah, see, that's correct. That's the correct color, yeah. But then once we get into here, it's more of a black, and then you can 100% see the difference here. Interesting, interesting. Or maybe it's just not pronounced enough for me to notice. So let's test this out. Let's test out that theory. We can increase the border width to like 4, right? So press L. No? Maybe it's just too small for me to notice. I can't tell. All right, well, maybe I am crazy. How about that? Undo me. Ugh. All right, that's fine. Now I need to figure out why I can't get input into this container. So, because I'm able to get input into this container, no problem, right? So, demonstrating that, we go over here, talk to you, fight me, scrub, and then you can see here that we start off with, you know, just regular input. We're able to click, and that all works. Oh, and then we're also able to, Also able to open up the menu. I wonder if it's because of this screen here. It shouldn't be loaded in automatically though, right? So we go to remote. Yeah, there's the palette swapper. There's our viewport that we use to kind of squish everything together. Is it because of the background? The background color has the focus? I don't think so. Right? Then once we talk to this person, bum bum bum. Is it because it's inside of... Oh, you know what? Is it because of this? The viewport... Something with input. Something with input. It has something to do with the input, I think. Let me see. Does this make a difference by switching it to handle input locally? No. I think it's just not receiving the input properly. Yeah. Like, it receives my mouse input fine. And then it also receives this input fine. But then it's not able to listen for mouse clicks either. That's so bizarre. And that's also pretty weird, is that you can have two things highlighted at the same time. Huh. Rendering, we don't care. I guess we do want to do disable 3D because there's, you know, there's no 3D. Audio listener, no. Disable inputs. That's not enabled, so that should be fine. Filter. If we do ignore, what happens then? So we're still able to listen for input from here. And we're also still able to get input here. I don't know, is it stop? Do we want this to be stop? There's something here that's eating my input, but I'm not sure what. Oh, you know what? When I press, I can see the color change very slightly. All right, hold on. I think I've made a huge mistake. All right, so I have this pass input, by the way. Go back here. I can see that this, I don't know how visible that is, but the white part of it lights up very slightly. That's so strange. Which means the reason why the white part lights up very slightly is because of one of the themes. So pressed does not appear to be... Yeah, that's very strange. It's not using it, huh? Also, I cannot... How do you make this bigger? That's so bizarre. I'm thinking, why does this happen? Is it because it's drawing the control twice? Or is it because, like, it shouldn't have a hover? Hey, I'm confused. Hey. See, like, this looks like what I thought would happen. So this looks bad. Then boom. Also looks pretty bad. It's because it's being drawn multiple times, huh? Is that how control drawing actually works? That feels like a bug. Right? That doesn't feel right. Like, I shouldn't be able to see under it, right? But for whatever reason, I can. All right, so hit me with a quick load. Give it a hover. See, that looks better now. I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, what the heck? What? What? What happened? It's like something broke. What? I didn't change anything. All right, see, now that's broken. Okay. So is it because of the focus thing? It should not be focused, even though that's like usually a pretty important one to have. Yeah, like what the heck is this? So you can click, boom, 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 boom. But it's like it's drawing it multiple times. Are there multiple menu containers here as well? There shouldn't be anything overlaying it at this point, right? So go into here. Actually, don't go into here. Don't, or at least don't full screen it. We can go into remote. Open up the thing. That looks bad. So we have our menu container. And then, yeah, I mean, it has the theme that's assigned to it. There's no custom colors or whatever. The theme propagates down, so that's not a problem. Yeah, and we can see that I have the info button selected in the inspector. And so whenever we press UI accept, we're able to see that it's pressed on the right as well. That's so strange. This has never happened. It's never happened to me before. What's going on? I don't know. Also, really quickly. So that works, by the way. I think I just need to assign neighbor top and then neighbor bottom. For info file needs to have a neighbor bottom, which is info, so you can scroll all the way up and all the way down, right? So you do. That's weird how it doesn't auto-select it as well. There's something weird going on. Yeah, so you can go all the way up. Like that. And then if you want to tab through, I guess that'll also just work. Huh. So that's hover. And also focused. Why do hover and focus draw twice? There should only be one drawn at the same time. Also, I need to turn off my stream bot. Because it's clearly not working. Or actually, let's just hide it, I suppose. We can turn it off. Stream notifications bot, you're broken. Why are you like this? Yeah. So, but why is this drawing twice? Why is this drawing twice? So if I add like a theme override to each of these files, or each of these buttons, I think that might work, maybe. So if we do styles, normal, right? Quick load, normal. Pressed, quick load, pressed. I think it's hover. Quick load, hover. Then that should force the theme, at least for some of the buttons. No, that looks bad. The heck? I can see it being drawn twice. I don't quite understand. Just have hover again. Maybe if we make hover invisible. Yeah. Hold on. What if? Take out all of these. Right. Go back to the main theme. Focus is now just an empty style box. So then it never will draw correctly, which is good. It's not what we want. See, now this looks correct, but now we don't get any focus stuff. Now we're not able to see what it looks like. That's so weird, dude. That is so weird. Like, this should have worked. Let's just add a style box empty here as well, but that shouldn't make a huge difference. Style box empty, sure. I don't know. I don't know. Focus. Let's make unique. Edit this to be, I don't know, slightly smaller border size. Save as. Hey. Make unique. Did I not make this unique? Hey. What am I doing? Save. This is focus.stylebox. Focused. What was it called? Focus. Yeah. Just regular focus. Focus.stylebox. Almost wrote style leg for whatever reason. Alright, then quick load focus. Right. I'm dying. See, this is correct, but then it's it doesn't draw the style boxes correctly. Is that something I can mess with somewhere else? Let's show default. We just don't show the default. What does that do? I've never actually selected that option before. I don't know. Let's put hover to be an empty one, and then maybe that might make a difference as well. Maybe it's because it's drawing too many times. That's not it. Godot UI system, why? That's gonna bother me for forever, dude. That's gonna bother me. Yeah. Rename item? Can you do that? Can you do that? You can just add a new style to your buttons. I've never tried to do that, but maybe that'll be interesting one day. So here's what we can do. Is really quickly, we'll go here. Let's take off all the styles really quickly. See how this looks without any styles. So that looks bad. Yeah, see, that looks fine. I mean, it doesn't look good, but could be a lot worse. Yeah. Right? And then we'll add the styles back. You know, quick load, this is normal. Pressed. Quick load, pressed. Hover. And hover, and then focus should be focus. And they're all very similar, right? Is the problem that focus shouldn't have... Oh, you know what? It might be that. It might be this. The fact that focus is drawing the center. I shouldn't be drawing focus for... or drawing the center of the rectangle for focus. Is that it? Yeah, it might be. Yeah. Seems a bit weird, but I'll accept it, I guess. That doesn't seem right. Right. Maybe it is? Okay, well, whatever, we're sticking with it. Oh, and then hover uses the same thing as well, right? Hover style box. This needs to be 2. What is pressed? Focus is 2. Hover should be... I think hover should be 2. Save this. So hover is really only for mouse controls, but that's all right. Now on to the easier part that I thought this would be easier, but maybe it's not. Steal the focus from another control and become the focus control. So let's see. We can do toggle menu. So if we're showing the menu, then we'll also want the info to grab focus as well. So that should solve this problem here. So what's the full screen button? Or is that something I need to program in myself? Okay, cool. Nice. So we talk to you, fight me. Not able to hit the menu button, which is good. That was a bit weird though. Yeah. And then we get to this menu. Okay, okay. So menu screen, more or less done. I mean, or at least it's mocked up. It doesn't actually do anything right now, but we're getting to it. Git add all. So what did we do? I really need to start doing git add dash dash all, not git add star. So the semantics are slightly different. Right, git add all I think works on every single thing in the directory, whereas git add dash dash all, or no, git add star works on all files in the directory, whereas git add dash dash all works on all valid files, not ignored by the git ignore file. I think that's how it works. Could try it, but I'm not going to mess with it right now. Let's see, git commits mock up menu button, or just menu, overworld menu, overworld. Give that a push. There we go. All right, so battle screen. So this is the battle screen, right? These are the anchors, enemy anchors. We don't care about the anchors at all. However, we do want to do stuff with this box here. So there's going to be several menus that are available to the player. What do I want them to be? I think I want them to be... I think I'm just going to spawn in all the menus all at the same time. That'll probably work. So we'll have a few scroll containers. So, fill, blah, blah. Yeah. And then they should all be hidden, maybe, until you click on a button. I'm just kind of throwing things out. So this is attack container. Then this will have a VBox container, and that will just automatically scroll itself. How nice. Look at that. And so we can, there's 4 menus. This is the item container. This is the option container. And then the, I guess there is no run container, but should it be called options or option, or should it be called like tactics or something? I guess a run is just run, so there is no run container. Maybe it'll be like yes or no. Are you sure? Right? That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. So battle screen. These are your buttons. Get them all here. Attack grabs focus on ready, and then we'll also have the associated just containers. So this is a scroll container, attack container, scroll container, and so the idea here is that these are all just the nested sub menus that you may or may not be familiar with in just standard JRPG games, or even just regular RPG games, right? Run, that's not how you do it. It's your run container. And then we'll do the same thing here. Grab this path. And I think I'm gonna add one more option specific. Maybe it'll be in only for the main player, the player character, so that you can modify skills on the fly. And by modify skills, I don't mean like switch them out for another skill. What I mean is you'll be able to like actually modify what the skill does using some sort of programming language. That'll be cool. How exactly is that going to work? I think I have the design written down somewhere. Like, don't I? I had some code I was working on before, so this is like entirely in GD script. So it was called, what was it called? Of a lot of repositories. Let me see. This is a while ago. Magic is code. Yeah, here we go. Magic is code, working title. It's a private repository, I believe. Yeah, so only I can see this. But this is all in GD scripts. And then it had like a magic processor. I don't think that's correct. Magic word builder. No. Where's my parser? This the util. Deep copy. Execution context. No. No. Where is it? Or was I rewriting this? Oh, actually, no. This idea was done like before I even started working on my programming language. So this is my first pass on like how I think you should be parsing text and stuff. Where this is my programming language I wrote before, right? Which is public and may or may not be compatible with Godot 4. I don't know. There's a few branches on there. So I did it in June 8th, and then later on September 30th, ported it to Godot 4 a few times. Twice, actually. And so that's all testable in my, whatchamacallit, my itch.io, which you can find in my description below, or you can type in !itch.io to get a link if you want. Actually, no, you can't because I turned off my bot. The bot is no longer working because the bot is bugged. Should probably fix it at some point. Turn it off on the side. Because I noticed it was just kind of endlessly pinging my Discord. Which is not good, by the way. Should not be doing that. It's programmed not to do that, but for whatever reason, it doesn't respect my my commands. It's gone rogue. Okay, so attack container. Let me see. So like, I think I'll need to do like just hook these up to various UI signals. Yeah, so we'll do attack dot connect. Let's see, pressed. This and then on attack pressed. Very original name. Yeah, okay. I suppose like it should be like a toggle as well, but we'll think about it. We'll think about it. Actually, yeah, that does make sense. Yeah. So I don't even need to do this via code. Could just have a button group somewhere. So create a new button group and then I'll just save it inside of this screen space. So new button group, right? Resource. What do I do here? Save. Button, no. Overworld, no. Battle, yes. So this is left button group, I guess. Sure. And then this one should be quick load. I think this would actually be faster to do via code and also less prone to error. But we're already here, so. All right, so these actually need to be turned into toggle buttons now. Or we can make them toggleable, right? Toggle mode on, sure. Turn all of these to toggle mode on. So when we run it, I think that should be fine. No crashes. One error, but that's not my fault, probably. That looks okay. Yeah. I guess you can't toggle it back off, huh? Let's see, pressed, on attack, pressed. What other things do I have? I don't usually do this like that. So is it toggled? Yes. Maybe I don't want to have maybe I don't want them to have a button group actually. Maybe it should just be, that's tough. Yeah, because with a button group, one is toggled at all times, but I feel like I don't want that to happen. Yeah, let's get out of that. Delete. So button groups, they are very useful. So in circumstances like all of these buttons here, so you can see that they're all named pose. So you can only pose one bone at a time. So a button group would be good for that. Although you would need to be able to also unselect at some point because you wouldn't always want to be, grabbing one of the bones to pose it. That's a bit tough. That's a bit tough. Now I'm thinking about it, that's a bit tough. Maybe I don't want to use a button group for that either. Private void on attack pressed. Don't know what that's gonna do. I'll do item. Let's see, this is option and then run. I suppose it should be called like bag or something, but this is not necessarily an item, right? So bag. Ooh. Bag. Give that a save. Change this one to be called underscore bag. Change this one to be called bag container, because that's also how I'm naming it in the overworld menu as well. So now we're just consistent. Bag container. Oh, that's not how you do it. I may or may not be using a new keyboard. Or at least a keyboard I'm not used to using. AKA it's a standard keyboard. Usually I have WASD, like function WASD mapped to the arrow keys. So I can, I can use my mouse and then also move the cursor at the same time. But this one just has the Windows key here, so I keep pressing Windows. I wonder if it's possible to remap this keyboard. I feel like I have to use auto hotkey though, which I'm not a huge fan of. Although auto hotkey, apparently, like the scripting language for it is Turing complete, so that's neat. On option pressed. Always fun to have Turing complete languages for managing hotkeys. That does make it like very, very powerful in terms of being able to just run whatever you want, any kinds of macros. Hope you are having a good stream. I'm having a good stream. Thanks for hoping. Your hope has been rewarded in this circumstance. What have I done so far? Mostly just debugged why my menu wasn't working correctly, but here we are. Baby steps, baby steps. Private void on item pressed. An item button pressed, I guess, but we'll rename them when we have to. Private void. How are you doing, Anwa? Are you doing all right as well? I hope that you're having a good life. Is this true? So on attack pressed, blah, blah, blah. All of this good stuff. Talking about having a good life. Do you remember like the Life is Good shirts? Whatever happened to those? I remember those used to be really popular when I was in high school. Remember Life is Good? What happened to that? Do people still wear that? Or like, have I just not been outside enough? Life got bad. It feels bad, man. Yeah, I suppose 2020, not too good. Pretty much all of 2020. It was pretty much like a bad year, right? Like the beginning of 2020 was when the huge wildfires all over the western U.S. And of course, my perspective is from the U.S. perspective, so don't really know what else was happening in other countries at the time. Stockholders threw them out. Oh baby, some good things came out of it for me. Is that private? Is that like an innuendo? Like, but some things were, some good things came out of it for me, but those things aren't. Private. One of those. Or am I reading too much into it? No, but yes. Nice. Nice. Private void. Hide right containers. Congratulations on paying off your mortgage. I guess that would be a private thing. Am I correct? On a scale from 1 to very, how correct was I? I wish that would be public. I don't know if I would want to advertise that I just paid off my mortgage. Wouldn't that just, like, that would invite, like, a bunch of people to be like, hey, I heard that you have a lot more, you have a lot more disposable income. I got a bridge to sell you. Right? Or like, we've been trying to contact you about the warranty on your car. Right, when I bought my first place, and actually like continuously, whenever I buy like a place, they're always like, hey, time's running out. Sounds like you need mortgage insurance. I'm like, nah, I don't really need mortgage insurance, sorry. They will waste their time. Yeah, but like, they're also filling up my mailbox. My mailbox can only get so big. That's not an innuendo. By the way. Oop, that's not how you do it. So on any of these buttons being pressed, it should hide the right containers. And then attack container, show. Hooray, okay. So just slap this into here. This is the bag container. So bum 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 bum. Bag container. It's beautiful. Formatted exactly how I want it. Oh, and then this needs to be bag. That's not right. It should be option container. So on option pressed. On option pressed, and then this is on run pressed. Run container show. So one of these is wrong. Or I'm just dumb. I think I'm just dumb. This one's wrong. But yeah, no, I'm, you know, talking about other things that are completely unrelated to wasting my time. Or actually that are related to wasting my time, but unrelated to getting spam mail. Or it's not called spam mail, it's called junk mail, right? But when you get, you know, unsolicited emails, they're called spam mail. Isn't that weird? Like unsolicited random physical mail is called junk mail, but if you get unsolicited emails, it's called spam mail, right? Or just spam. Why don't we call it junk mail? Or is that just like a US thing? Or do other people in other parts of the US call it like junk mail? I've always called it spam. Or maybe that's just because I'm, I guess, young enough to one of the few areas where I'm a bit too young. Anyways, there's nothing to show in these containers for now. So this should be filled up with, I don't know, just like, it should take a list of the current unit's skills, attack skills. Gmail has both junk and spam folders just to make it even more confusing. Does it really? Does it really, Soggy? Let me see. I do know about the spam. Does it? My Gmail only has spam. And it has trash as well. I'm pretty sure, doesn't Outlook have a junk mail folder? I only have spam here as well, my other one. Very conveniently shown off screen. So you can't really see any of my emails. Fortunately, I do keep my email very, very clean. So there's only like a few receipts. Yeah. I think Outlook has junk. What does Yahoo Mail have? Let's see. I'm not gonna check my Outlook on stream. I don't think I'm even signed into it, so I would need to like open up my password manager, do all that good stuff. All right. Let's do this really quickly. So we have button, double button, right? Size flags, expand, expand. I guess it would just be the one button, maybe? Oh my, maybe it's a junk label. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Google. The junk label sends it to the spam folder. What are we living in crazy town here? Something like that. I guess it's just the one button, right? For run. It's like confirm. 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 Yeah. I think the older I get, the more I kind of appreciate Outlook, actually. I don't know if that's a weird take or not. But like, my job, you know, everyone uses Outlook. It's corporate. They got the sucking Microsoft's teat, etc., etc. So I just count my blessings that I don't have to use Microsoft SharePoints. But like Outlook has a lot of really nice features for like automatically filtering and stuff. It's just easier to navigate for whatever, or everything is not like hidden in menus or like in different menus. It just has like the two big giant menus, which is nice. I think the music stopped as well. I wonder how long the music's been off. My bad. Alright. Let's start this. I saw an exception get thrown. But yeah, anyways. Ooh. Microsoft. Ooh, that's strange. Ooh, what did I do that? But Outlook, being able to just filter create email rules, 10 out of 10, dude. As opposed to Gmail, right? Which doesn't have, it only has filters. And I guess you can kind of configure those, but I feel like it's not as easy to understand as Outlook's. Drinking that good as Kool-Aid, yeah. Look at that. I also use Microsoft. Whenever they force me to switch to Windows 11 though, that's probably when I'll have to really jump, and I'll probably just run, I'll just go back to my standard Ubuntu, running XFCE, or maybe Fedora. Fedora is not bad either. I use Fedora for work. Or at least for work, it's Fedora computer that you, whatever it's called. You then access a virtual Windows desktop, and then from that Windows desktop, SSH into RHEL servers. So it's just pain all around. But Fedora, not bad. Fedora kind of gets a bad rap because it's managed by Red Hat, but you know, Red Hat, nothing wrong with them. I mean, they are owned by IBM now, which is a bit scary, but so it goes sometimes. So it goes. All right. Do all this. We'll test the battle thing one more time, just to make sure that it all displays correctly. So the buttons should be not toggling themselves anymore. So the idea here, which is the reason why this is offset, is because I want to have a character portrait in the same amount of pixels, so it'll be super pixelated. That's fine. And it'll be developer RTE. Then we go into a different scale factor here. And what's cool is that this background piece that you can no longer kind of see, That's all pixel perfect. This is not pixel perfect. This is just regular images. So click on this, click on this, click on this. Boom. Yeah, and then this button doesn't do anything. But we can make it do something. We can make it do something. We're very slowly building up to something cool. Where I like how this is all coming together. So this is the run confirm is equal to get. Ooh. It's not right. All right. So run, so there's a private Buton run confirm. We'll grab that here. Get node. All right, so we can hook this up like so. So these are all the standard buttons. Should probably do this up here, just so that they're all connected in the same points, more or less. So run confirm. So you can run from battles, I guess. We'll see how that feels. Maybe I won't, and I'll just change it to another option. So connect pressed to on run confirm. That's not proper English, but it's okay. We won't worry about it too much. Let's see, we can set up a region, right? So region, run container. My favorite part about C#. Unfortunately. It's such a small thing, but I really like being able to just set up things like this. So that you can hide this entire part of code and then just know like, oh, this is the run part. On run confirm. I think what we're going to do is, let's see, bum bum bum. Stop dialogue. Hey. I think we can, let's see. Yeah, we'll do current dialogue unit. So this should have a unit, a reference to this unit. Battled unit, yes. So battled unit, still have a reference to that, and then we'll just call stop dialogue on that. Then we'll just queue free ourselves. Queue free. Nice. All right, and that's how you run for now. We'll add a to do. So this should not be the first thing that happens, but for now it will be. To do, this should not be the first thing that happens. Nice. But just for testing. Just for testing. So, Pokemon style movement, working fine. Fight me, scrub. Boom. Click on this. Cool, and then we can go back to you. Ooh, okay. What happened? Cannot access a disposed object. Huh? Ooh. What? What happened? Cannot access a disposed object. I'm thinking. Thinking. This is breaking because this is one of the units. Oh, they got disposed of. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I need to have like a cleanup function. We need a cleanup function. So we'll do public void clean up. Well, no one else should be calling this, so it should be private. Private void clean up. It's my Java tendencies bleeding in again. So I feel like for all these units, right? All these player units, I should I think I can just... How are these... Alright, how am I managing these again? I don't remember. Player data, we create a new list of player units, and then we add all of them, and then we... okay, so I just need to remove them. Okay, cool. So, for all of these units, right? So we'll grab the player units like so. Slap them into here. These are the player units, and then for each, I think it's a battle unit. Battle units. Unit in player units. That's not the syntax. We'll do unit. We'll remove child unit. Probably. Probably. And now we're actually leaking stuff afterwards, but that's okay. We can do... Hold on. I think it's exit tree. Public override. Exit tree? Hey. Oh, I already have that defined up there. My bad. We're probably quitting, and then we'll do for each. Battle unit. So we'll import that. I think that's okay. Entities, units. All right, I was right. It's entities, so it should be up here. All right, so this is battle unit. Unit in S player data team. And that's just a list of units. So then we'll do units. It's free, I guess. Yeah. Look at that. Manually freeing things like this is oh. Don't run it from here, by the way. Manually freeing things like this is a manually memory managed language. But it's not. So click on this. Run. That can go back to you. Ooh, okay, null pointer. Cannot access a disposed object. That should be fine. Did I not do that properly? What? So this is the team, blah, blah, blah. Then I add the units, yeah. Remove child. Do I need to store a reference to them? Oh wait, no, I didn't call cleanup. I didn't call cleanup, okay. Good job. Here we have one of these, cleanup. Look at that. Turns out, if you want your code to run, you need to call it first. It's a very radical idea. All right, so we'll run. Hooray, we'll come back to you. I actually don't even need to run away like that. All right, so attack doesn't do anything. Nice. Okay, cool. And I'm pretty sure I don't have any orphan thingies. Well, no, I should have one orphaned node, but that's okay. That's intentional. Right, so we can look here. We have 3 orphan nodes, actually. Ooh, don't know if that's a good thing or not. Let's keep an eye on it. Talk to you. All right, so I just have like 3 orphaned nodes somewhere. I don't know where they are. Right, yeah, I can see here that like we do run. it very quickly spikes to like, it goes to 0 and then back up to 3. I wonder what's going on there. Anyways, we just leaked some memory stuff at runtime, did we? Or what is this? Unhandled exception. What is this? Player data. Ooh. Specified cast is not valid. Pack scene instance at player data new data. Interesting. So it's not stopping me from executing. Why is this? That's a pack scene, and then that should be fine, right? Okay, well, let's see, this, we'll just have a var battle unit, right? And then we can just load it like that. That's fine. Is it because like it's missing that in-between step? And so it's kind of getting confused? I wonder. So did we run into that same error? We did. Specified cast is not valid. Send unhandled exception error. What do you mean? Unhandled exception. Cast class with cache in pointer. Edit states. Instance. New data. It's one of these things. It's one of these things. I think it's this part. Oh, well, it's 100% this part, right? So it's whenever we're trying to instance this this pack scene, it's not working. That shouldn't matter though, because you can preload. Well, it's not the same thing as Godot preloading, but it's pretty close. Something isn't working right here. I don't know. How does this work? So we don't load data for now. We just create. Oh, is it because we're doing this outside of ready? Is that why? So if I stop the program, public override void ready, then I move this part to here. Do you think that'll work? I think that'll work. It's a bit different. The order is slightly different. One of them is done at construction time. Oh, there we go, yeah. No errors this time. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah. So I guess when you're working with Godot objects, at the very, very start of your application, you can't mess with like pack scenes until you have, at least until the node is in the scene tree, then you can start messing with all that kind of stuff. At least when you are starting your program. Yeah, because this is the app manager, so this is my, yeah, it's just the big manager singleton. That's interesting. Who would have known? Alright. So let's do this really quickly as well. So attack, we can do focus. Focus, next, and previous should all work, but then neighbor top, we'll just click on run. Then run neighbor bottom will be attack. So then you'll have really nice, or at least it makes more sense with how most people are used to, right? So you can infinitely scroll up, infinitely scroll down. Left and right doesn't work, of course. And I guess I should store the previous input state as well. But yeah, we can go out. Attack doesn't do anything. Run twice doesn't do anything. It just displays the same menu again. I suppose I should make it so that if you click on the same input, the same button twice, it'll just hide it instead. Yeah, okay. Or I can have kind of what like I did with the GUI layer. So the GUI layer keeps track of its internal state, so I can do the same thing with the battle screen in terms of showing menu states. Yeah, could do something like that. Could do something like that. Probably going to do something like that. But we'll get around to it. Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to implement any of these. Yeah. Don't think I'm going to implement any of bag or option just yet. Probably just attack for now. So let's add one button for attack. So button, size flags, expand. So we can go ahead and hide all of these. We don't need to show everything. We only need to hide the one thing that we're currently working on. So how do I want to do this? When you attack, you'll have a list of things that you can you can do, I guess. Actually, these buttons should not be fill or expand. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Right, because they're inside of VBox containers already, which are inside of scroll containers. So you do something like that, then they'll just happen like this. If you do it so they fill and expand, I think they'll just stretch. I think that's how that works. Or do they have a minimum size that they conform to? I actually don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I've never tried. I guess I'm not feeling adventurous enough to try. Big sorry. A big baby. Okay, well, how do I want these to work? So, oh geez. Close this. Open it back up. So player data. Battle units. I think battle units closer to what we want. Yeah. So you'll have skills. We can... It's a Godot array of skills. And that's done for what reason? It's so that I can assign it at runtime. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Isn't it like it's like this? I'm rediscovering. I said, oh man, I wrote this. Oh, I'm so smart. But that's actually not applicable for me right now. So this is just applicable for, I guess, just visually creating new units, right? But in terms of the player and the player party, right? Those skills will be dynamic, right? And you can't really set those at the beginning of the game because you'll be probably gaining new stuff as you go on. So, let's see. We can add a new skill and then I'll just add it here. It's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. Var battle unit. Or just unit instance, right? Instance is equal to battle unit. Why am I making this so difficult? Just instance it in the same call. So that's the instance, right? All of that, good enough. Battle units. Add it to the team. Then I suppose we can just add strike, but does that make sense? So with how I wanted this to be structured, it was going to be you would only have like everyone would draw from the same pool of skills. But if I want it to be like so each skill is actually some keywords. Oh god. I don't know if that's audible or not. That sounds horrifying. It's like it's a fire truck. But it's like way higher pitched than it should be. Oh my god. It startled me. You know, American fire truck is like, but this is like a like really high. That was weird. I don't think I've ever heard a fire truck go that high before. Alright, so skills. I think we're talking about the model and then how it should be looking. If we go into, not this one, don't look at my extensions. Yeah, so model, and then we'll have skills, and then we'll have base skills, or maybe I can define all skills. I should really just get the basic syntax down. All right, we'll save that for later. We'll save that for later, because what I was thinking I would do is something like this. Ooh, that's not how you do it. Something like this, right? So each skill would be defined as like a list of just commands, and it'll be a DSL, right? So make it really easy, because the intent is that the player is supposed to change these things on the fly. And I don't know if I want it to be like real time. It'll be like, so if you do it in real time, it'd be like hacker versus hacker, like hacker man. It'll be something like, you know, like charge to, like wind up. That's not how you spell wind up. Wind up, one targets, one something something, like that. Oh, hello, Tithomi. That's me. 100% my name right there. How are you doing, Felipe? I'm trying to come up with, I guess, the DSL that I want for this game. Rubber duck. Be careful when you stare at the rubber duck, for the rubber duck stares back into you. But yeah, what I'm thinking for this game, I haven't made too much progress that I should really be proud of, but we have a menu. None of these options do anything, but that's fine. Then we have, boom, some sort of attack menu stuff. So you can run. Hooray for menus. We'll just quit. Feel the staring energy. Its power is overwhelmingly good. Ooh. Heavy ooh energy radiating off that comment. But yeah, so the game, game jam game theme is bug. What I'm thinking is I'll reuse it in a way that boogies my keyboard. Excuse me. Excuse me. What did you just say to me? But here's an old idea, right? Let me see, Matt. Yeah. This is a private repo, but, and this is also like really old, from 7 months ago. That's crazy. But basically this is like, what if you made hacking into like an actual video game? And so it would be like real time hacking against like a computer or another person, and then you could like influence each other's like code, something like that. It's bugging my keyboard. Sorry. I try not to stare too much. So it's gonna be a terminal type thing? No, not really. Because I think what I can do here, right? So in a standard JRPG, right? So you have a few skills, whatever, like fireball, slash, whatever. So what happens if you are, I guess your character is, I guess, bugged, maybe. Bugged in that they have the power to influence actions and whatnot. And so each action, each attack skill, which you can't see yet because it's not implemented, but each attack skill is actually made up of several commands. And so you can influence them. So like say like this is the like a slash skill, and then this is what it would look like. And so you can modify your own skill, or I guess hack the opponent's skill, and then check it out. That fits the bug theme into the game, as opposed to just being like a story background thing. Now it's actually being used as a mechanic. You are throwing bugs into other people's code, but then I guess the code would also have to be somewhat resilient. And by the code, I mean the parser for the code would have to be somewhat resilient, so it wouldn't always work, right? So you would need to know how to break the parser. So you can hack people, something like that, yeah. You're hacking their skills. I think that could be kind of cool. So I've had that idea before, but I think in this context it makes a bit more sense. So it's basically like all skills are made up of, you know, skills. They don't just be like, oh, you slash them and you deal like 2 damage. What actually happens on the back end is like each skill is like, this is slash, you know, slash. And then it executes all of these commands, and so that you, the player, are able to mess with the commands. Something like that. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll even get rid of the entire, like, you get deleted at the start of the game so that you don't exist. What if this is just how fighting works in this world? What if that's just how it works, is that, you know, combat is programming. Hooray. Can you turn someone into Microsoft bimbos? Microsoft. Yes. With their head executive, Gil Bates. Like a realistic Matrix? Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. I'm still trying to decide if that's a good thing or not, or if this is a good idea or not, because it is fairly complicated. It is fairly complicated, because now I need to write a parser, because I don't really want to write... I don't want to use someone else's parser, even though that would make my life a lot easier. Actually, are there C# parser, just a parser. I'm sure there is something like that. I think I have a million windows open. How to write a parser in C#. No, I know how to write a parser. I've done this before in GD script. Oh yeah. I could probably just pull this in, I think. Right? Here. Ooh. What the heck? Often callable via link query comprehensions? Oh geez. Ooh. Actually, this isn't really what I want. This is more of like a you're parsing like strings somehow. But I don't really need to parse a string to figure out what the string is. I want to parse something like this. And then, you know, figure out, you know, find the word, figure out if I need to be looking for a number next to the word, find the next word, find out if it's like a 2-letter word, etc. So I've done that before. I think I just need to find out what the right thing to call it is, right? So GD Lisp, this is a single file Lisp, which I'm not going to be using, but it's just an example of a parser that I've written. So parse string, so we tokenize it. So that means that we run through this entire list on the left, turn these into tokens. And so each token is usually space delimited, or not, usually space delimited, but sometimes not. I'll be requiring them to be space delimited because I could make it fancy, and we could have semicolons to break things up so you can have things all on one line, but we'll keep it simple for now. And then also you need to remember that a new line is not a space. Something that kind of gets me sometimes. And then here, boom, boom. So we tokenize it, then we parse it, which is how we turn it into, atoms and expressions. So charge 2, charge would be an atom, 2 would be an atom. And then an expression would be charge 2. So it's an expression made up of 2 atoms. And then after that, then we'll run it through the evaluator, which actually does the entire skill stuff, right? So charge 2, maybe like you're gaining power. Wind up 1 is like you need to wait for 1 tick in order to do your move. Target 2 is just who is being targeted by the skill. And then you execute. And so it runs through all the commands. Or it actually fires the commands, maybe. So if you never execute, then the skill will never fire, I guess. I don't know what would happen if you don't have an execute. But this is just an example of what I think should happen. Maybe you don't even need execute. It'll be like a... I don't know. Just like a return and a void function, so it just lets you exit early, I suppose. Yeah, that could be cool. Probably nothing happens and the player skips turn. Maybe. But that's the idea. Because I can't think of another... Is there a game that does something like that? That lets you just build your own attacks like that? Like I know there are games where you can build your own guns, and then you can kind of change how they work by putting, more ridiculous combinations of parts. Yeah. But I don't think there's a game that's like, hey, this is our magic and or combat system. Prepare yourself. So I don't know. Maybe that'll be cool. I know of. Yeah. I think games that are like that though, I know why there's not too many games like that is because it does kind of require you to know how to, or I guess learn how to program, right? It's kind of like a programming game at that point. It's less of a JRPG and more of a programming game. That's why I'm trying to keep it simple. He says as he was about to make every single attack one of these. Maybe it does make more sense to do it like that though. Thank you for the follow, Soggy, by the way. Much appreciated. So here's the question now, right? I think I am gonna pivot to this idea. Do I still want all attacks to follow this, or do I want to just have turn that into like a skills versus attacks kind of thing? So you'll have like standard actions. Like you can attack, or you can attack, you can defend, or you can use a skill, and then I'll just add like another label here, another button here. And then those skills are something different. No. I suppose I can make it so like you only need to interface with it as much as you want to. Like for the most part. So I guess it's like combination puzzle RPG. Alright, so we'll get rid of this thing. No skills enum. This will have to draw from... Alright, so this is also going to break. What was it? Attack, bag, option, run. And so your attacks is just a list of all your attacks. So not too big of a difference. However, we'll be using system collections generic. So we'll be using a list, and this will not be exported from Godot. That actually makes it somewhat difficult now, because now I can't define an enemy using all of these. Which kind of breaks my workflow. Hold on. Bring me back. Undo me. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly I want to do. So you'll have all of these skills here. So we'll break this enum out into a new file. So this will be, we'll just call it skills, right? Skills CS. So namespace. That's not how you spell namespace. Entities, units, battle. That's not how you do it. Also, yeah, there you can see Genshin Impact is on this computer. He's up. Oh no, plays gacha games. But so these are the skills. Boom. Always have a none skill just in case. Oh, hold on. So public enum skills. So you have none. Always a good one to have. That'll be your default for the most part. Smoke screen. Yeah, okay. So you can get rid of this. And that should be fine. Yeah. So if we ever hit skill none, then we know that we messed up. Yeah. And then these skills need to map back to the model. That's tough, actually. That's tough. So model is just pure data. I guess strike can be like a basic skill, right? So this will, so basic stuff, that's all not editable, maybe. So when you, if there's no other option, enemies will just use strike. And by strike, I guess it's like almost like a struggle in Pokemon terms. Yeah. So you'll always have access to strike, yeah. And then everything else needs to be implemented by, I guess the logic, the DSL. And so that'll be in one of the utils folders. So we'll see how I want to do that. Sounds a bit tough. Skills dots strike here. All right, hold on. This will be skill singular. And then skill strike. There we go. So everyone will always have the ability to do skill strike. You should never be able to do skill none. And we should crash immediately if we ever run into it. All right, so now we can go back to battle screen. I like the plan. I like the plan. Now I just need to think about turn order and all that. I'm not too worried about turn order, right? Because we can just do one of these. Just have a few tweens. Yeah, so there's the player tween. Or no, it'll just be the one tween, huh? Like everything should be moving synchronized. Yeah, okay. So let's grab the tween here. Private tween. So we grab that. I guess it doesn't really matter where we grab it, huh? Tween is equal to get node. I believe it's just at the root, right? Yeah. And so that's how we'll be doing animations, and we'll need to connect this to all the various tween functions. Yeah. But anyways, I guess we'll just always assume that for now we're on the player's turn. And so player will always have a strike skill. Enemies, you will not be able to see their attacks, so it doesn't matter, but you will have allies, so I'll need to cycle through the available data. We'll think about that. Let's see. Here we have attack container, and we'll just loop through all the skills that you have. So this is player, anchors node, get children. Player units. All right, so to do, this is wrong, but we're gonna do it just for testing. So to do, need to store player team skills and switch as necessary. But for now, for each unit, we grab the unit, attack container dot add child. It'll be a new, oh, I don't think you can do it like that. Hold on. So var attach for each. So it's gonna be skill in unit skills, right? Then we'll have button is equal to new button. Let's see. Oh, and then it needs to be hooked up to, oh no. Actually, yeah. No, that's fine, yeah. We can do button dot, button dot, yeah, button dot text is equal to skill to string. Once again, using enums as strings. I feel like that's kind of weird. People find that kind of weird, but I like doing that. Although I think if you're using enums as strings, I think most people recommend that you use a constant instead, but that's all right. Button.text, and then we will, at the very end, attack container, add child, button, and then we do need to connect it to an appropriate handler. So these are all the UI stuff. This is more of a, well, these are all UI stuff. All right. So region, this will be attack and region. All right, so that's attack pressed, whatever. Private void on attack skill pressed. Right. And you might be asking, how do we differentiate between different skills? And I'll answer you. Is that we can, even though the button pressed signal does not send like any information whatsoever, we can pass along other information at this point in time, which is nice. So button pressed, and then it's at least that's how it works in GDScript. Array binds. I don't think that's how that works in C#. Yeah, I don't think you can just... Maybe you can? I don't know. Maybe. Let's try it. That tooltip doesn't look correct, though. On attack skill. Pressed. So that's technically correct, right? Can I do that? So just... Button... Well, just pass along the skill like that. Can I do that? Yeah, I didn't think so. So I think it needs to be a Godot array. Yeah, it needs to be a Godot array. Okay, so hold on. Do new Godot collections array. Who... All right, so we need to construct it outside of this function as well. So var binds is equal to new Godot collections array. That's not how you do it. Then binds add skill. Should be okay. Then we just pass in binds like that. Yeah. And then here we can listen for skill, lowercase skill, and that's it, right? And then for now, we'll just do a GD print skill toString. Hooray. Even though I could just use a debugger, I'm not going to. Doing it like this makes me very nostalgic for whatever reason. Fight me. All right. So there's strike. Look at that. It's a very tiny button. Did it print anything? It did. Hooray. Okay, so we can add more and more stuff. Yeah. We can add more and more stuff. Or actually, can't I do it like this then? If that was okay, then we can do this, right? And then just pass in skill. Is that okay? Maybe? So click on you, boom, boom, strike. And then here, okay, cool. So that's all we really need to do is create a new Godot collections array, pass in a skill, no need for the intermediate variable. Nice. Is this how this works, by the way? Skill, smoke screen. I'm not familiar with how var args work in C#. Light me. All right, so there's just the one. Oh, you know what? It's because of this. So it's attack container, right? Each of these has a VBox. So what I've been doing is I've just been placing it directly under the scroll container, but I shouldn't be doing that. I should be doing it like get child. There's a better way of doing this as well, by the way. Could probably just cache, so get child beforehand and store the value so you don't need to do it every single time, but it's okay. For testing, that's fine. So now we have strike, we have smoke screen. These don't do anything for now, but you can see here that we are indeed printing out the names. Hooray. And also it is possible to control this with your mouse. Nice. Clicking on these doesn't do anything for now. I guess I can make it do something. but I'll have to define that in the somewhere. Okay, but it's good to know that this works. It's good to know that this works. That is kind of a big to-do. Yeah. Let's save state really quickly. Status, git add all, or git add dash all. Yeah. I need to get into the habit of doing that. Git add star adds all the files, whereas git add dash dash all adds all the files that would make sense. So it's one of them is slightly more efficient, I think. I think that's the difference between dash dash all and star. But git commits, let's see. Add skills to battle screen. Okay. Yeah. So now we just need to start writing the parser. Easy. No problem. Easiest thing I've ever done. So how do you write a parser? So it's like a skill parser, I guess, right? So skill parser .cs. Yes. Skill parser.cs namespace utils, right? Probably using system. Okay. And then we can make this really easy, just completely self-contained, single file. So public, not void, skill parser public class. Right. There's no constructor, but we'll add just an empty constructor, because that's nice to do. It's not a Godot class, so it doesn't need to extend anything. We just need to load it in at some points, like to, I guess, to parse each battle unit's skills, because I want them to be stored as enums for whatever reason. I don't know. I need to think about this some more. This has suddenly gotten a lot more complicated. But when before the stream, I was thinking like, man, I don't really want to work on this. But what if I did this? Crazy idea, blast from the past from 7 months ago. All right, I like that idea, let's do it. And now here we are. But I need to rethink how that's gonna work though, because that does kind of make it like twice as complicated, more than twice as complicated. But I like the idea more, so what a pain. Anyways, I'm gonna bounce. Thanks for tuning in. I will be live on Tuesday from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time, working on this once again. You know, give it a channel, follow you haven't already. Support is much appreciated. The bot's not running right now because I had to turn it off because it was spamming my Discord, but I usually there are bot commands in my title. I did write the bot, and that's why it is breaking. But it is the same bot, so in both Twitch chat and Discord, so it is able to talk to itself. I wrote this piece of software that you see on screen, OpenCPH GD. You can find it on my GitHub. The link is down in my description below. It's free and open source. Likewise, this is not stream avatars. This is my own thing. Look at that. Look at that. Whee. So you can have kind of a weird hive thing going on like that. Also hooked up to all kinds of Twitch stuff. All that stuff is linked to my, or posted on my GitHub profile. A lot of the stuff I usually work on is free and open source. This game, if it turns out all right, will probably be free and open source. If I really like it, it might not be, but I'm open to open sourcing parts of it. Yeah. I will see you later. Goodbye.